All right, there we go. Okay, and so we're at the bottom of the hour, right? So we're gonna just get started up. Welcome to another weekly edition of Think with a Drink, the weekly webinar series brought to you by the Aries Foundation for Financial Education. And this week we are doing the 6 blunders. And just real quick with that, as far as the presenters, I'm Tom Alessi. I'm the president of the Aries Foundation for Financial Services. I have been in financial industry about 23 years now, actually turned the corner into my 23rd year. I'm an investment advisor. It means that I act in a fiduciary capacity whenever I'm giving guidance or advice to any of my clients. I'm going to bring our Vice President, Craig. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Craig Richardson. I've been in the financial services field a little over 17 years, and I help families and small businesses put together plans so they can have a better future.
Terrific. And like I said, Craig will be chiming in as we go along here. Real quick, the webinar series is brought to you by the Aries Foundation for Financial Education. You can visit the website. It's www.ariesfoundation.org. And our mission statement is trying to help everyone have a better relationship with their money. We sort of talked about that as far as the open was concerned, those emotional and components that go along with that. And really what we try to help everybody do is sort of get a sense and have a better understanding and handle on dealing with their money and finances. We've got some disclosures. I'm not going to go through them because it takes too long to read the slide. I'm just going to say we're a nonprofit. We're doing this just to try to give education and information, which gets me to the fun part of the evening where I get to say the reason we call it Think with a Drink is because some of this stuff is overwhelming, some of it's daunting, and some of it just like doom and gloom, and who wants to really listen to all of that? So we try to make it a little bit more casual, a little relaxed, and we can't think of a better way to do that than if you have something cold to sip on as we go along. And this evening, I am having one of my favorite beers that only is available in the fall, and I just realized today I better go stock up because they're going to pull it soon from the shelves as fall starts to come to a close. But it is Flannel Friday from our friends at Harpoon Brewery in Boston. Craig, what are you drinking?
Well, my plan was to do woodchuck this week, but I didn't get a chance to get there. So I'm actually having a Diet Coke this evening. So I am doing a non-alcoholic libation.
There you go. And on something to sip on, that's fine. And we'll say scroll.
Oh.
Blunder number 5 is not rebalancing, and we'll talk about what rebalancing is, or sometimes relying too heavily on the target date funds that are available in the lineup selection of a retirement plan. And I'm going to go through each of those, as far as how that works and what it means. But so when we talk about rebalancing, just in front as a basic portfolio, and you can forget that this is listing certain criteria, asset classes here, but just think of it this way. I have 4 funds in my portfolio, in my retirement plan, in the 401k I'm contributing to at work. I selected, my contribution is going to 25% into each of those 4 funds. 25, 25, 25, 25 makes 100, right? There we go. There's the circle, and that fills it up.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is over time, and whether we're talking 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, something in one of those assets in those 4 funds is going to be doing well. One of them is probably not. And depending on what you picked or what the asset is, it may be doing very poorly. That's a different conversation. We're just talking about your risks now. If you were in, growth mutual funds and bonds, the bonds probably are lagging behind. They're not keeping pace. And so your portfolio that was supposed to be 25, 25, 25, 25 now probably looks like 40-10 type of thing in that side because of what's happened with the market. And what you have to do is say, I don't care. I'm going to go in and every year on a certain day, rebalance the portfolio, turn everything back to being 25, 25, 25, 25. Sell what's done well, buy what's done bad. Again, this sounds counterintuitive to everybody, but if I said it to you this way, I'm going to sell high and buy low. Gee, that's what everybody wants to do. That's what you're doing when you're rebalancing. You just need to be thinking about what that mix is. That goes back to the risk that we just talked about. These tie together with that, because if you spread yourself too thin, it's tough to keep up, and you don't want to do it too often because then you might miss some of the up push in a market that you're, trying to take advantage of. But you can't let it just run forever, because I know what'll happen, right? A downturn will occur, and then you'll lose that upswing that you got. And guess what? Now we're back to 25, 25, 25, 25, but it's only because you had a market correction and you lost all the gain that you had.
Well, because it's usually not the bond portion that outperforms the rest, right? So it's not the least risky investment that usually outperforms the most risky over time.
Right, over time, but if you're looking at it in 1 year slices, it can happen.
Right, but I'm saying if you keep letting these, the riskiest part of your portfolio keep growing, where it seems like it's great because it's growing.
Oh yeah.
But now you're outside your risk tolerance.
Right, you push yourself into a different model, you push yourself out of balance, and like I said, suddenly, if your mix was truly like a 50-50 split, I got 50% in equities and 50% in fixed or bonds, and now my mix is 80-20, right? Because the equity market spiked up so much, the bond market has done so poorly. Well, when the correction happens, guess what? You're going to go back to 50-50, but it's only because you're going to lose all of the money that was in the equity. Whereas if you had rebalanced it, you'd be taking some of those swings out of your portfolio. Again, it's all based on your risk tolerance and what you're trying to achieve.
So don't let it be like a hedge, right? Don't let it overgrow and just crowd everything.
Don't just, you got to trim it back. Very good analogy. Yes. So I mentioned the target dates. Craig and I are big believers in target dates, especially for somebody who's unsure about participating, unsure about getting in, because it's a great way to get in, set it, forget it, let it run. One of the things that you have to sort of caution yourself with is target dates are overly aggressive by nature. They work off a premise of a glide path. So the glide path says, in my early years, I'm going to have a major equity exposure, probably 75 or 80% equities to cash and bonds. And then as I approach the retirement year, whatever that retirement year is, I'm going to start to level down. But at retirement year, age 65 is usually somewhere in that target range, I'm now going to be at like a 50-50 mix. And then it's going to take another 10, depending on the company. We won't mention the big gorilla sitting in our backyard. It takes them 15 years to get out, as far as to get down to a really conservative, like 30-70 mix on the portfolio. So just be aware that some of those target dates can bring more risk than you might necessarily want. Great to get in, but as far as keeping your overall mix, not necessarily the greatest thing to do unless you're adding other pieces to your portfolio.
Well, the other thing too with the target is it's cookie cutter for individuals. Let's say you are going towards 65, so you're 60 years old, you're gliding down, but you decide, look, I'm going to work till 70, 74, right? And you've got other assets, so you don't necessarily need to tap the 401k first. Maybe you don't want to be as conservative with the glide path at that point. So it can go both ways. It's just a matter of
and that's the mindset of I've got to take a look at it. It's sort of the same idea and goes hand in hand. That's why I put it in with the rebalancing thing, because that would be the assessment. I'd be looking at my risk, Greg, and I want to rebalance this. And maybe I don't want to be in the, whatever it is, the 2025 target date fund. Maybe I want to be in the 2030 or the 2035 fund.
But they're great for somebody who's just getting in, who has no clue, and where should I stick it? It's hard to make a mistake.
Like I said, Craig and I are big believers in set it and forget it, get in, but then review it once you start building up assets in it and what you want. For any of these, we're happy to try to help. We're happy to go through it, do a review, take a look at your allocation, crash test it, sort of figure out with you, what the allocation strategy is, what you're trying to do. That's why we're here. As Craig and I say to everybody, it's you got to have a plan. Right? Because you got to have a plan, you got to have a goal. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to get? What are you trying to make in this? In the case of when we talk about retirement, what are you trying to mine the gap? Where's your gap, and how are you filling that in? So if you need a little help, okay. So if you ever do need us or want to reach us, just reach out. You can go to the website, it's www.aresfoundation.org. There's a contact us form right on there. You can shoot us an email. It's info@aresfoundation.org. Or you can check out the blog post, which we do on a regular basis. I didn't get to it this week, so apologies for anybody who might have looked for it. But it's aresfoundation.org/blog. So if